Tosnevai Riyai Hai Keshavashacha Vishnu Bhakti Prane Deve Sachavachai Namo Namaka. Jai! Tulsi Balarani ki Jai! Let's shift to these turn. Okay. Okay. Everybody ran away again. I guess tomorrow we'll get more people. Weekends. What? No. No, it's not enough people. Maybe you can turn off the heat.
Turn off the heat.
You turn off the heat. Okay. It's like a sauna bath in here. I don't know about the rest of you. It's really hot. Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunna Biha Sukte Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunna Biha Sukte Balaba Irivadurati Gopi Jana Balaba Irivadurati Gopi Jana Balaba Raja Jana Ranjana Sudanandana Brajat Ranjana Gunatira Panachari Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paravitacharya also Teta Sitashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Sabaya Charana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidway Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Maternam Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Srimad Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maham Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Vastaya Budale. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pacharni. Nivashesha Shanyavali Paschatya Shatarni. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 29th chapter, text 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Sa
Eva
Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udarita Inativratsya Trigunam Mad Bhavayopapadyate Saheva Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udarita Yena Tivrajya Trigunam Madhvavayopapadyate Saheva Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udarita Yenati Vrajya Trigunam Madhvavayopapadyate Saheva Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udarita Yenati Vrajya Trigunam Madhvavayopapadyate. Okay.
Saeva Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udaritaha Yenati Vrajya Trigunam Madhvavayopapadyate
Saeva Bhakti Yogakya Atyantika Udahrita Yenati Vrajya Trigunam Madhvavayopapadyate
स एव भक्तियोगाख्य
स एव भक्तियोगाख्य
आत्यन्तिक उदाहृतः
आत्यन्तिक उदाहृतः
येनातिव्रज्य त्रिगुण्यम्
येनातिव्रजति गुणम्
मद्भावायोपपद्यते
मद्भावायोपपद्यते
Ladies?
स एव भक्तियोगाख्या
स एव भक्तियोगाख्य
आत्यन्तिका उदारिता
आत्यन्तिका उदाहृता
येनात्रिभज्यति गुणम्
येनातिव्रजति गुणम्
मद्भावयोपपद्यते
मद्भावयोपपद्यते
स एव भक्तियोगाख्या
स एव भक्तियोगाख्य
आत्यन्तिका उदारता
आत्यन्तिका उदारता
येनात्विराज्यते गुणम्
येनातिव्रजति गुणम्
मद्भाव्यो प्रपद्यते
मद्भावयोपपद्यते
स एव भक्तियोगाख्या
स एव भक्तियोगाख्य
आत्यन्तिका उदारिता
आत्यन्तिका उदाहृता
येनात्रिव्रजति गुणम्
येनातिव्रजति गुणम्
मद्भावयो प्रपद्यते
मद्भावयोपपद्यते
All right. Sa. This. Eva. Indeed. Bhakti Yoga. Devotional service. Akya. Called. Adyantaka. The highest platform. Udarita. Explain. Yena. By which. Ativraja. Overcoming. Trigunam. The three modes of material nature. Matbhavaya. To my transcendental stage. Upapadyate. One attains. So translation. By attaining the highest platform of devotional services I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage, as is the Lord. That means the Lord is also in the transcendental stage. So, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sripad Shankaracharya, who is supposed to be the leader of the impersonalist school of philosophers, has admitted in the beginning of his comments on Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. Except for him, everything is within the material creation. Because that verse is Narayana Paro Avyaktat. It is also confirmed in the Vedic literature that before the creation there was only Narayan. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva existed. Only Narayan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, is always in the transcendental position, beyond the influence of material creation. The material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance cannot affect the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is called Nirguna, free from all tinges of material qualities. Here, the same fact is confirmed by Lord Kapila. One who is situated in pure devotional service is transcendently situated, as is the Lord. Just as the Lord is unaffected by the influence of the material modes, so too are his pure devotees. One who is not affected by the three modes of material nature is called a liberated soul, or Brahma Bhuta soul. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. That's Bhagavad Gita 18:54. Is the stage of liberation. Aham Brahmasmi, I am not this body. This is applicable only to the person who constantly engages in the devotional service of Krishna and is thus in the transcendental stage He is above the influence of the three modes of material nature. It is the misconception of the impersonalists that one can worship any imaginary form of the Lord or Brahman and at the end merge in the Brahman effulgence. Of course, to merge into the bodily effulgence, Brahman of the Supreme Lord, is also liberation, as explained in the previous verse. Ekot law is also liberation, but that sort of liberation is never accepted by any devotee. For qualitative oneness is immediately attained as soon as one is situated in devotional service. For a devotee, that qualitative equality, which is the result of impersonal liberation, is already attained. He does not have to try for it separately. It is clearly stated here that simply by pure devotional service, one becomes qualitatively as good as the Lord himself. So again, the verse. Saeva bhakti yogakya ajantika udharita inati vraja tri gunam mad bhavayo papadyate. So, Om Ganat Timidandasha Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasvai Shigare Namaha. So here in this verse, we find mentioned Triguna, the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And in the Bhagavad Gita it says one should see that only the modes are active in this material world and nothing else. And everyone is forced to act according to the modes. Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatutishyati akarma krit karyate yavasa karma sarva prakriti jarigunat. That everyone is forced to act because of the impulses born of the material nature. Now, we choose, though. Here's our choice. It's not that we don't have any free will. Of course, generally, the Buddhists talk about free will means you can choose Krishna or Maya. That's one aspect of free will. But we can also choose which mode of nature or modes of nature we decide to associate with. That's our choice. We can associate with the mode of ignorance. We can go to the bar, associate with the mode of ignorance. We can associate with the mode of passion. Go to work. Sorry. Go. Sorry about this. Go to the stock market. Okay. And we can associate with the mode of goodness. Just like this morning, I was out there with the birds and the bees. No bees. But anyway, but I was out there, and it was, the sky was clear, the birds were chirping. Mode of goodness, it makes the mind very peaceful. So we can choose that. Karnam guna sangasha sadasa jatma jonishu, the Bhagavad Gita says. The reason we're entangled in the material world is guna sangha. And of course, as we mentioned many times before, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises us as the first quality of a Vaishnava is asat sangha chaga Vaishnava cha, to give up bad association with the modes of nature. That's his first instruction when he's asked the quality of a Vaishnava. Asat sangha chag, a Vaishnava chag, give up asat sangha. So, of course, that's easier said than done. Because we have to mix every day with so many asat sangis. That means the persons who are asat sangha. You understand? Asat sangis. Sangha is association, sangis. Asat sangis. It's better than saying demons. Anyway, so what do we do? And the answer is Mam Chiyo Vyabhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevata Sagunam Samati Chaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kelpate. If we want to overcome the modes of nature, then we have to make every minute of our day an offering to Krishna. Now, even if you're at work, of course you're offering the results to Krishna. So if you're engaged in devotional service, then Krishna puts a bubble around you that protects you from the influence of the modes of nature. However, if you do things have no connection with Krishna consciousness, then that bubble is not there anymore. Then you're associating with modes of nature. Like if you watch a rugby game or something, or watch a... Sorry, no, I didn't want to say that one. You said it. Then you're associating with modes of nature. And as I mentioned before, when I watch people watching these games, they enter into that same mood, same mode, like that, and their consciousness becomes avatam gyanavetena. Their consciousness becomes covered, kama rupena, this brain. Never, and there's no satisfaction to it. So, anyway, so the whole point is just to be engaged in devotional service, 24 hours a day, and then, as described by the acharyas, then the whole ocean of material existence shrinks to the size of a calf's footprint. Otherwise, it's an ocean of material existence you try to get rid of. So, anyway, so let me see. So also we should take advantage of good association. So avoiding bad association, take advantage of good association. And what is that good association? Good association is pure devotees of the Lord, their service, the hearing from the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of God, and then we become free from the modes of material nature. And we should cultivate the mood of pure devotion. Now, the last few days we've been talking about how pure devotional service, at least yesterday, we were talking about how pure devotion, the day before actually, how pure devotional service is characterized, or the transcendental mode of Vishuddha Sattva is characterized by how one's mind and consciousness automatically flow to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like the Ganges flows down. And I was thinking about that, how to describe this pure devotional service, because we also talked about how pure devotional service means that one is not interested in Sarupya Mukti or Samipya Mukti or Sarshti Mukti, or what to speak of Sayuja Mukti or Salokya Mukti, but one is simply interested in serving Krishna. And I was thinking of illustrating that point, because this is actually what gets us to the point of pure devotional service, by reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Radharani's mood in relationship to Krishna, connected with the last verse of the Shikshashtaka prayers. So I thought that would be very educational for us, because, the last few days we've been talking about, one has to be ready to go to hell for Krishna, one has to be ready even to become a demon if Krishna wants to fight with you, and even become a Rakshasa, and even like Ravana eat people. So let's hear what Srimati Radharani has to say about this. And this, of course, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And these verses and the manifestation of the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are told to us by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was heard directly from the lips of Raghunath Das Goswami, who was there at that time. And also he was able to read the diary of Sarup Damodar Goswami, or Sarup Damodar Swami. So anyway, let's start with the last verse of the Shikshashtaka. Very beautiful verse, as you all know. Shlishava para prashtubhavadarshana bharmatam karotuva yatatata bhavadatu lampato mat prana natas tusa eva naparaha. And here's the translation, which is different than the one you're accustomed to. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant. So this is pure devotional service, which enables us to transcend the modes of nature. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me, or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee after all, and can do whatever he likes, but still he alone and no one else is the worshipful Lord of my heart. And so this is further elaborated in the coming verses here. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna, the next verse, and he is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can tightly embrace me, just paraphrasing, and make me feel oneness with him, or by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Everybody knows what corroding is. You know, I just, when I hear the word corrode, to me that means like some metal. It's not only rusting, but it's really disintegrating. Nevertheless, he is the Lord, he who is the Lord of my life. It is he who is the Lord of my life. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis. Of course, it's Radharani speaking, but we could take the mood. Obviously, we're not thinking that we're gopis. Gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled, mind and body, by me. Thus, he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. In other words, sometimes projecting that into our own self. Sometimes Krishna pays attention to me, and I can see Krishna, and I feel nectar when I'm chanting the holy names, and other times, what happened to you, Krishna? Okay. Or since, after all, he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. And I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. This is what I often talk about. And the purport, Prabhupada elaborates on this. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that a devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose, he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness. Listen to this. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing that Krishna is happy in every respect. It's really a kattvabhas. That's right, oneness with the Lord. No way of being happy except by seeing that Krishna is happy. This is the only way to transcend the modes of nature. This is a high standard, isn't it? So therefore, we should be extremely humble and think, wow, probably about 10 billion births before I get there. Of course, Prabhupada was already on the platform, but he, in order to show us, he says, I have no hope of direct service for the coming crores of births. So, if Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Those who are materialistic, however, who are very proud of material wealth and have no spiritual knowledge, like the Prakriti Sahajas, regard their own happiness as the aim of life. So in other words, that's the distinguishing factor between a Prakriti Sahaja and someone who's actually on the path of devotional service. Prakriti Sahaja thinks that Krishna consciousness, or the process of Krishna consciousness, or Krishna's pastimes, or whatever, is meant for his own happiness. Some of them aspire to enjoy themselves by sharing the happiness of Krishna. This is the mentality of fruitive workers who want to enjoy sense gratification by making it a show of service to Krishna. If Krishna, attracted by another verse, if Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her, but is unhappy because he cannot get her, I will fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. Next verse. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger toward Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger toward him? She is interested in her own happiness. I condemn such woman to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt. So in other words, if someone has their separate happiness and is acting like they're a devotee, here Radharani is saying, I condemn such a woman or man to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want the happiness of Krishna. And there's a purport. A devotee who is satisfied only with his own sense gratification certainly falls down from the service of Krishna. Being attracted by material happiness, he later joins the Prakriti Sahajas, or considered to be non-devotees. Next verse. And here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions an interesting story from the Markandeya Purana. The wife of a Brahmin suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. So, the whole story, we've told the story many times before, but the story is the woman actually was married to a man who wanted to enjoy a prostitute. And she was so, I'm not saying that you ladies should be like that with your husbands. If he has that attitude, kick him. But, this is a special case. You are not Savitri or any of these personalities. Don't imitate them. But anyway, so the point is she was so dedicated. So this is a metaphor that we should be so dedicated to Krishna, like that whatever Krishna wants, like I mentioned before, if he wants to make us a demon, we just keep working for him. It doesn't matter. Even if Krishna doesn't manifest himself before us, even if we don't feel any ecstasy. So many devotees ask me the question, I joined the movement and I had so much ecstasy, but now what happened with the ecstasy? It's gone. Of course, sometimes I answer because you committed offenses, other times because cultivated anarthas, other times because you're inattentive. But in many cases, Krishna is just making you hanker or testing your devotion. Are you going to continue serving him? Have you realized that he's the Lord of your life? So Srimati Radharani has that consciousness, and we have to imbibe that consciousness. If we want to become pure devotees, go back to God, please Krishna. Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. That is my constant meditation. My happiness is in the service of Krishna. These are more verses. And Krishna's happiness is in union with me. Of course, this is Radharani. But also, Krishna's happiness is having us come back to the spiritual world, to be with him. Like we see in the case of Gopakumar. When Gopakumar came back to the spiritual world, Krishna fainted. The coward boys and everyone thought that Gopakumar was some demon who had done something to Krishna. But actually, Krishna fainted. And therefore, Lord Balaram understood that, and they had Gopakumar put Krishna's head on his lap. Because Krishna said, I've been waiting. When is he coming back to me? And in other places in the Brihad Bhagavatam, for many births I've been waiting, and I became so impatient that I became his guru. So in the same way, Krishna, and it's amazing. In other words, Krishna's impatient, and he becomes the guru. And in a real sense, like with Prabhupada, Krishna was impatient, so Krishna sent Prabhupada. Or the end of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, or not quite the end, but it's in the story of Gopakumar, it's revealed that Srimati Radharani was impatient about this mature Brahman, so she sent Gopakumar to come down. So, my happiness is in the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his loved one and calls me his most beloved. It is then that I consider myself his maidservant. Service to my lover is the home of happiness, and is more sweet than direct union with him. In other words, service to Krishna is more sweet than going back to home, back to Godhead. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. She therefore considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. These statements by Srimati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna, tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind. One more verse. The pure devotional service in Vrindavan is like the golden particles in the river Jambu. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal sense gratification. It is to advertise such pure love in this material world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written the previous verse and explained its meaning. So this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, any questions? Yes.
Gurudev, the two of the beautiful Bhagavad Gita shlokas which you quoted,
Yeah.
one like Mamcha Vyabhicharena,
Bhakti Yogani Sevata, yeah.
so where it is telling that one who is constantly engaged in the devotional service without fail,
Yeah.
once he realizes, then he will engage in the devotional service. Sorry, he will come to the Brahma Bhuta stage.
Yeah.
And the other shloka which says Brahma Bhuta
Prasanama
Prasanama
and
na
Soshati
Shoshati,
na Kankshati.
where it starts with the Brahma Bhuta stage and being situated in Prasannatma stage, then he will come to the Bhakti Yoga. So
Yes,
those are
I
like
say that's
complementary.
very interesting. It appears to be a contradiction or something from different angles of vision. One says that by performing devotional service, one comes to one comes to the Brahmabhuta platform, and the other verse says, when you come to the Brahmabhuta platform, that's the beginning of devotional service.
So that's always.
Yeah. Actually, thank you for pointing that out. That's very, very good. Well, actually, Krishna himself talks about that early in the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna asked the question, which is considered by you to be higher, meditation on the impersonal Brahman or your personal form? And then Krishna answers several different verses, but one verse that I remember right now, Klesho Dikatara Station, Yakta Shakta Chetasam, Yakta Hir Gatir Dukam, Ahavad Bir Advapyate. Interesting verse. He says, for those who are embodied, meditation on the impersonal form is very difficult. For those who are actually embodied or those who are spirit. So the point is, there are two ways to come to devotion. There's the hard way and the easy way. Yes, you can go through, detaching yourself from the material world, performing Sankhya Yoga, for example. Sankhya Yoga actually basically means to analyze the different material elements and come to the point of understanding the spirit soul. A detachment, gradual detachment. You can do the yoga process. And you'll ultimately come to the platform under a Brahman platform. And then at that point, yes, because of what is that? Aparamas Chadevranta Rukume Krabantya Haituki Bhakti Tambuta Guna Hari. You can be like the four Kumaras. That Amrama's verse is actually a very interesting verse. That even those who are self-satisfied, in other words, one type of self-satisfied person is a person who is in Brahman, is attracted to the name, quality, and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that, in other words, there's two ways of doing it. And there's an easy way, and there's a hard way. The easy way is Mamchiyo Vyavacharena Bhakti Yogena Sevatai Sagunan Samatitaitan Brahmabhuya Kalpate. And the hard way is Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Nashoshati Nakankshati Samaksarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Bhavate Param. And Krishna actually talks about that. When after Arjuna asked, like I said, asked the question, which is higher, which is better, impersonal or personal? And Krishna says, eventually the impersonal comes to that platform.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay? So, good question. Actually, that's first time I had that question. That is very good, contrasting those two verses, Mamchiyo Vyavacharya, because actually I quoted both of them. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Soshati Kankshati. But how difficult is it to get to that Brahmabhuta platform of not hankering or lamenting?
Very good.
Very difficult. Without Krishna consciousness. Klesho dikaturastation. It's difficult. Avyaktihi gatir to come. Anyway, so other questions, yes.
Just on that point, is it a bit like it's reciprocal, like humility and prema we were saying the other day?
Yeah, Dainu.
They feed off Daina and prema. They feed off each other. One leads to the other, and the other. Leads
Yeah. One is
That even the Brahmabhuta stage in devotional service because the more you get into devotional service, the more self-realized you get as well.
Yeah, and the more you come,
Yeah.
the more you come to that platform of let's see, Mamchiyo Vyavacharya Bhakti Yogena Sagunan Samatichaitan. The more you come to the platform of rising above the modes of material nature. Yeah. But there are two ways.
It's hard to use it.
Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. So, other questions? Yeah.
You were mentioning how about Srila Prabhupada is so humble by saying he has
no hope of direct service of the coming crores of births.
So what's the difference between the humility and low self-esteem? Sometimes we can misunderstand and get into depression by having no hope.
Humility, I've often said this before, simple, just try to remember this one statement. Humility means to think of yourself less. Low self-esteem means to think less of yourself. You follow that? Someone who's truly humble, they don't think about themselves. Am I fallen? They may from time to time say, I'm the most fallen rascal, but it's not something that they actually think about, meditate upon, affects their consciousness at all. It's just that, whatever. But someone who is depressed is, I'm so fallen. It's about me. You find the people who are depressed, they talk more about themselves than about Krishna. And people who are humble, they talk more about Krishna than about themselves. Humble person doesn't want to talk about himself. Doesn't want to talk about, his life or anything like that. You understand? You understand the difference?
Yeah.
So when Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and their prayers, they are...
Yeah, they say that, but it's not something they meditate on. They say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Mamanamayanana Shuno, Vishaya Durjana. I have no good qualities, Vishaya, I'm a materialistic, and I'm Durjana, a bad person. But then they say, please take this sinner weeping and weeping to your lotus feet. Or they may say, I'm lower than Jagai and Madai. We say that, but it's not something that's really at the forefront of the consciousness. It's not something they chant all day long. Whereas someone who's depressed, it's sort of like obsessive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so low, I'm hopeless, I'm worthless. And they don't, someone who's depressed doesn't even consider what is called ashabandha. You know, ashabandha means hope against hope, that even though I have none of these good qualities, that somehow or other, I have faith the Lord is going to take me away, save me. That's ashabandha. So someone who is depressed is hopeless. That's another difference.
Opposite of Hashem.
Yeah. And a devotee is full of hope, hopeful, because he has that faith. So it doesn't really affect him. Even if, you know, if someone thinks that I'm just like a materialistic rascal, a demon, I have so many material desires, but he doesn't get depressed because Krishna's going to save me. I'm drowned in the ocean of material existence, but I know the ship's going to come after a while. The boat, what is that? The boat of Krishna's lotus feet.
So when Prabhupada says, I have no hope, but he is full of hope.
Yeah, because he knows that he will be engaged in Krishna's service life after life by the mercy of his spiritual master. So in other words, it's also an indication that I just want to serve my spiritual master. That I don't have the qualification to approach Krishna directly, which is actually should be our qualification. What is my qualification for approaching Krishna directly? I mean, the only way I can offer food to Krishna is offer to my Guru Maharaj first, and who will do the offering to Krishna. You know, why am I thinking of dancing with Krishna, becoming a gopi? You know, I mean, it'll reveal. Prabhupada said, "Deserve then desire," but it will be revealed to you who you are, and then you're really thankful. See, the quality of a devotee, humility makes you thankful at every moment. Every moment you're thankful. Every moment you're thanking. You know, in Indian culture, you don't thank people very much. Isn't it? You know, sometimes I'm in India and someone helps me and I say, thank you. It's just, what did you say? It's like, can you translate that into some language I can understand? So, but we should really be constantly expressing thanks to Krishna. I mean, just like, you know, this morning I was walking in the park and chanting. I said, Krishna, thank you for letting me do this. Letting me chant and walk in such a nice situation. And, you know, last night I was thankful. You know, we had a nice sangha of devotees. And I said, thank you, Krishna. These are really nice souls. You know, I really had a good time last night because the devotees were so sweet. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, what did I do to deserve? You know, you also have to think, what did I do to deserve it? You know, I'm not really qualified, but I'm not getting depressed because of that. I'm thinking, wow, even though I'm not qualified, Krishna is giving me this blessing of associating with such great people. You know, so that's, you know, just revealing that was going through my mind last night or this morning. So I try to cultivate that mood of thankfulness. What do they say? Attitude of gratitude. You know, at every minute. And then even Krishna smashes us. Thank you, Krishna. Don't do it more, but, you know. But, you know, I mean, I like even, you know, I had my the kidney stone problem. And afterward, I wasn't thanking Krishna during it, but anyway, afterwards, I actually saw what Krishna did, and I thanked him. I thank you, Krishna, for doing that. That helped me realize, you know, I had some realizations about the holy name, about so many things. So we should be constantly thanking Krishna. And that way, even, you know, so-called negative statements about ourselves can actually be an impetus for gratefulness and also ashabandha, you know, hopefulness. And faith. You know, that faith actually keeps us from getting depressed too. Isn't it? Krishna has a plan. So, yeah, that's a good question. You know, people would ask that often. What's the difference between low self-esteem and humility? There's a vast difference. Humility is about Krishna. Low self-esteem is about me. I'm so depressed. No, nobody loves me. Even the devotees don't love me. People don't understand me. Do you ever hear this? Yeah, yeah, it's just like all these mantras that you keep repeating over and over again. I just want to end it all. Of course, devotees usually don't commit suicide, but I just want to go to sleep and forget it all. That's a sign of depression. So, any other questions or comments? Yes?
Gurudev, how do we develop or how do we help develop someone the sense of gratitude?
Well, ask them or try to understand or illustrate what Krishna's done for them.
Pastimes of Lord.
What?
Pastimes of Lord?
No. What Krishna has given them. Krishna's given you a human body. I mean, just start with that one. Look at all the living entities, the microscopic living entities and all the entities in this room. And we're in the vast minority. You understand? Just be grateful. Krishna's given us the opportunity to hear and chant. Krishna's given us so much. So just describe what they have to be grateful for. Right?
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work?
Yeah.
Why not?
I tried.
With who?
With people around me.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I would just start to ask them questions. What's your purpose in life? You ask them. Not asking you. You ask them, what's your purpose in life? And they said, I have no purpose. Well, that's your problem. So, do a little questions and answers with them. I mean, there's different things you can do. What's your purpose? I have no purpose. Do you know what's going to happen when you leave your body? No. So then you get into, trying to help them establish a purpose in life. Or have them chant the holy name. But, I am, personally, I'm just so grateful for everything, every day. Every day I can wake up. Every day I can do service for Krishna. And even the trouble. The anxiety, the trouble. In serving Krishna, there's so much anxiety sometimes. Trouble. Whew. So, anyway, you have to somehow or other facilitate someone in understanding how much they have. I mean, you can even do it by comparison, like say, look at what's happening in different parts of the world. Like if you look at, countries like Gaza, Somalia, Kashmir. I mean, we have so much, isn't it? I mean, from a material perspective. But just the fact that you know what is the purpose of life, so it just like it gives you hope, isn't it? Of course, Krishna does say, for the doubting soul, there's happiness neither in this world or in the next, isn't it? So, Ashravana Purusha, Dharmasya Parantapa, Aprapyamam Nivartante, Reduce Samsara Vartmani. So, yes, for someone who is doubtful and has no faith, then basically there's no hope. So we have to help people get some faith. Trust. Okay?
Thank you, brother.
Okay, any other questions? Quick questions or comments? So I can be grateful for prasad in a few minutes.
I just wanted to say something for Bob Mataji's work.
Yeah.
It's true, but it's people get to realize about the purpose in life and how Krishna consciousness is so important in life.
Yeah.
From my experiences with dealing with people, is that once they get the higher taste. So if
Yeah.
they don't get the higher taste, they're always engrossed in material things, and their mind's telling them whatever they're doing is too much. They don't have time for anything else. But as soon as they get into devotional service, that's why I always engage her as well, and many people,
Yeah.
she's doing really good as well, and there are many others. And I find services, I engage them. Then I explain them, I explain them time management in their lives. I explain them the importance of devotional service, and then I also look at different, I learned from you, Gurudev, about psychophysical nature of a person.
Yeah.
For instance, I don't put everyone in garden. I put some people in kitchen. I put some people in paraphernalia services and many things like that, And then I
You are very
explain
merciful.
to them, it's all because of you, Gurudev.
You're an ocean of compassion.
So and some people, they don't have so much capacity. And some people find they have other issues too, like traveling issues.
Yeah.
But it all because I have analyzed the bottom thing is that they haven't experienced the higher taste yet.
Yes.
As soon as they do, and association is very important as well. So I try to facilitate that, and prasadam is very important as well. These are the stepping stone. And then they once they get into it, then they start going.
All right, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
But the hope has to be for the future, not only the present. When we're talking about Ashabandha, that means hope in the future.
Yeah.
Like when Prabhupada even says, "I have no hope of direct service for the coming crores of births," that means I will get direct service. That, so we know, because one can be experiencing happiness right now, but then as soon as you stop doing that, then you start thinking of the future. Like anxiety comes from future thinking.
Yeah, that's right.
What if?
Yeah.
So the two main problems in modern society today are anxiety and depression. And so if one knows that no matter what happens now, the future is bright, then that actually, cures the anxiety. Not completely, because one may have anxiety for Krishna.
Yeah.
And actually Prabhupada, one time a devotee came to Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, I have a lot of trouble hearing my japa because I'm in anxiety about this project." And Prabhupada said, "Yeah, me too." So anxiety for Krishna is purifying. But the main thing is to understand the future is very bright. That right now, I may be sunk in the morass of material desires and whatever, but in the future, everything gets better and better and better. So that's the hope, that's Ashabandha. And in the future, Krishna's going to save me. And that keeps you from being depressed, isn't it? No matter how big a rascal or small a rascal or fallen rascal I am, Krishna's there, and he loves me, and he's going to take care of me. Like the symptoms of Sharanagati. Always understand Krishna's maintaining you, Krishna's protecting you, because Krishna's protection may take the form of chastisement sometimes. So, okay, I think we should end now. Thank you very much. All glorious, divine grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.